In this week's Agile Game of the Week, the virtual gauntlet of technical debt. In this virtual Agile game, we contextualise the challenges around what can be quite an abstract term in technical debt. Special credit goes to Ron Cortell, who shared the physical version of this game on tastycupcakes.com website. I was inspired by this version of the game and adapted it so it could be used remotely. So when should you use this game? Are you finding that your teams are struggling to prioritise technical debt in their sprints? Perhaps your company or organisation is just focused on being a feature factory and churning out new features instead of making time for refactoring code, enabling time to learn new things, perhaps documentation, or scaling infrastructure. Then use this game. It's for you. Play with those in your team or in your company to show them in a very tangible way how technical debt feels when it builds up. So we begin the game by exploring what technical debt is and what causes technical debt, and then we go into the game. The game's intended to be interactive and engaging. There's clickable arrows throughout which will help you navigate your way around the board, and we also have brief sections explaining exactly how the game will work. So how it works, you basically divide the participants up into developers and testers, and they will each have sprints to basically drag a sticky note from one side of the board to the other. QA will then pick up those completed stickies and move them to their QA board, and that represents something that has been completed all the way through the workflow. Now in the first round you don't measure velocity, you just get the teams to practice and become used to using it, and then as we go into round 2 the same applies. We practice doing it again, but this time we record velocity. As we go into round 2, we begin introducing technical debt, and this is represented through mazes. The same concept applies. A developer will have to drag their stickies from one side to the other, but this time they will have to go through the maze. After each round, you will explore with the team on the scoreboard section how it felt and what their output was and what they could do differently. So you start to encourage retrospection and inspection and adaptation. As the rounds progress, the mazes become more and more difficult until you get to a maze which is almost insurmountable. This represents a real-life scenario where technical debt has built up so much that it stalls progress significantly. This could be because your development environments aren't matching production, because your release process is unwieldy. There could be many reasons and causes for technical debt, but you'll find out through the rounds how people are feeling when they're experiencing this. We then go into the final round, and in the final round we begin to promote a sustainable culture. We begin to promote removing technical debt as you go along, and this is done in this round through enabling, upon completion of an item through the workflow, the team to add a path through the maze. So upon completing a single item in the workflow, the team gets to drag one of these grey boxes upon their maze and begin to create a path that they can then travel through. This is representative of removing technical debt as you go along, which is a far more sustainable practice. At the end of the game, of course, we have a retrospective. So we go back to our original board and we explore what methods are there for removing technical debt, and finally, what support do the squads or teams need to enable them to remove technical debt. I hope you enjoy playing this game with your teams, and unfortunately this game won't actually go live on the Myroverse until November apparently, so if you'd like to access this game then just reach out to me and I'll send you a downloadable copy of it that you can then upload to your own instance of Myro. Enjoy the game! If you enjoyed this virtual Agile game, then do let me know. I'm always keen to hear feedback from those I create the games for. In next week's edition of the Agile Game of the Week, I will be sharing a virtual version of the Name Game, a game which contextualises the challenges around context switching. And lastly, if you enjoyed this Agile game and my content, then don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.